सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। We continue with shlokas 14 onwards. The fifth student is now being talked about. Yesterday we saw how Shankaracharya ji impresses upon a life of vairagya, but vairagya born out of proper understanding, and karma should continue, and that karma should be the means of purification. And when purification is there of antakarana, this antakarana, the inner equipment, now is prepared to meet a teacher. When we are prepared, the right guru enters our life. Gurudev used to say, we don't have to run to the Himalayas to find our guru. In fact, guru arrives by the grace of Bhagavan. But for the arrival of that guru, preparation needs to be there, and that preparation is antakarana shuddhi, the quietude of the inner equipment, the purity of the inner equipment, which is purity of thoughts and nobility of intentions. This is, in a nutshell, the antakarana shuddhi. So when that happens, the intentions are noble, the mind is quiet, such a person is now able to meet a guru. So over here, who is a fit student? Adhikarinamaashaste phalasiddhir visheshatah upaya deshika ladhyaha santyasmin sahakarinah. So over here, visheshatah, essentially, phala siddhi, the attainment of the very purpose of human birth. Phala siddhi is over here the phala siddhi of the student to reach the goal. So the over here the ultimate success, the fruit of all the endeavors of a spiritual aspirant, essentially it depends upon over here phala siddhi adhikarinam ashaste upayaha deshakaladhyaha sahakarinaha. So, you know, the time and the place, we say that, oh, my time is not good, the Shani Dasha is going on, or some Rahu Dasha is going on, or some planetary position is not conducive, family life is not conducive, so place is not conducive, living in the middle of the hustle and bustle of Mumbai and noise, so Desh is not proper, Kal, the time in life is not proper, all issues, this, that. Over here, Shankaracharya ji says that Desha Kaladhyaha, the time and the place of the person's life, this is Sahakarina, it is only secondary, it is not primary. The primary the primary factor which determines the success of a spiritual aspirant is adhikarinam ashaste. The qualifications of a seeker is far more superior to the other bells and whistles, so to speak, in our life. The more time and effort we put in our own preparation, regardless of the place that we are in, the location, the family dynamics, the times that we are living in, we may blame the materialism of Kali Yuga or the country or whatever it may be. We may have so many issues we may raise up that because of this I am not able to do my sadhana. Over here Shankaracharya ji is very clear. It is the student and the qualifications of the student that determines the success. This is very important for us to internalize. As per our prarabdha of the physical body and the prarabdha of the mind, things will be arranged in the outside world. But the inner world, the priorities of the inner world, the priorities of our mind, the dridata, the dhairya of the intellect, steadfastness of the intellect, that is far more superior in determining our success. This is what Shankaracharya ji is saying. If we want to truly understand Shastra, we have to have an inner commitment to do our sadhanas. We have to prioritize it. I myself speak from experience. You know, we may blame so many things around us, but ultimately we are responsible for our success, and we are also responsible for our fall if we don't have proper choices. And this is over here what is saying that upayaha deshakaladyaha santi asmin sahakarinaha. They are there, no doubt about it. We can have a very conducive environment. We can have a very conducive place. Imagine a child who is born in a divine home in the higher elevations of small tiny village of Himalayas, and is exposed to just nothing but purity from childhood. There is no the mind is not sullied by any external influences. From childhood, all he knows is to walk 2 kilometers daily to offer some water to a Shivalinga on the higher peak, and then come back down 2 kilometers, sit down, have a little breakfast, start learning. We can wish for such a beautiful life, but if we go over there and arrive in that beautiful pristine place, we will start looking for a Wi-Fi. So even though there are people who are exposed to various blessings from childhood, and we saw the blessings, Jantunam narajanma durlabhamatah pumsvam tato viprata tasmad vaidika dharma marga parata vidvatvam asmat param, etc., etc. We saw in the very second shloka. Yeah, there are so many blessings, but you know, we need to claim our spiritual success by the demands of the internal equipment, the antakarana, by saying, I am not going to allow the world to push my buttons. I am going to make my own spiritual life a success. That is how a person rises. And most people who are materially successful, if we look at the CEOs of big companies and, you know, great managers and all of them, you know how much hard work they have put, even in material success, to stay up there. The clarity of thought, the giving up of all desires. Millions are there in the bank account, but is there time to spend it? So even for material success, a lot of sacrifice is required. Continuing, shloka number 16. Medhavi purusho vidvan uha poha vichakshanaha. We skipped number 15. Yes. Ato vicharata kartavyaha jignasoratma vastunaha samasadyadaya sindhum gurum brahma viduttamam. So ataha vicharataha jignasaha atmavastunaha. So this jignasu, a spiritual aspirant, a spiritual neophyte, all of those, this ataha jignasu vicharataha kartavyaha. May this spiritual aspirant engage in vichar. What is this vichar? Over here it is said atmavastunaha vichar. Not like how I am going to go from here to there and etc., etc. Continuously atma, anatma, viveka vichar. What is this atma? What is this atma? I am that atma, and I am not going to rest until I attain my birthright of this knowledge. So that jignasu kartavyah vichar. And then daya sindhum gurum brahma viduttamam samasadhya. And may this student, daya sindhu, an ocean of compassion, gurum, a teacher, brahma viduttamam, the knower of Brahman, and not just having the knowledge of Brahman, but abidance. So having complete knowledge of Shastra and abidance in it, that is over here referred to as Brahma Viduttamam, the knower of Brahman. So such a guru, Samasadhya, may that person approach this, may the qualified student, upon having due qualifications, approach this teacher for further vichar of Atma and Anatma. What is Atma? What is Anatma? What Atma is, let me hold on to it. What Anatma is, let me drop it. Hold on to the real, drop the unreal. At every stage in our life, it's a choice that we have to make, and that is what is talked about in this shloka number 15. Medhavi purusho vidvan uha poha vichakshanaha adhikaryatma vidyayam ukta lakshana lakshitaha. So this ukta lakshana lakshitaha, what is the one who has the above characteristics which is talked about in the previous shloka and the shloka before that, the one who stands up for one's own spiritual attainment of phalasiddhi, the attainment of one's own spiritual kingdom, the one who stands up for that, the one who stands up for Atma and Atma Vivek. Such a person, the person engages in vicharaha, the one who is continuously deliberating upon it. When that person approaches a teacher, such a person with proper qualifications, that is known as ukta lakshana lakshitaha. Ukta as spoken, lakshana the qualifications, lakshitaha the one who is endowed with that. Such a person, who is he or she? Medhavi. See, it is a qualification of a proper student of Vedanta. Person has acute intelligence, not just intelligence, but Medha is Shastrartha Grahana Shakti, the one who is able to grab the essence of a Shastra and retain it. That is a Medhavi person, the person of acute memory. It is not just studying and yeah, I have studied this, yes, I have studied this, but they are able to retain the essence of that Shastra, and it is ever available in front of their intellect as knowledge, continuously available for the intellect to abide in. Not just some knowledge which is sitting on a bookshelf in a textbook. So, Medhavi, Vidwan, the person is wise. And the person is wise with regard, Medhavi with respect to the inner qualification. Vidwan wise with regard to all the outside situations. The person clearly sees that the other person is going to drain their energy out, move out from the close vicinity of such a person. Know who to interact with and move on. Not getting caught up in everything. That is a vidwan, a learned person, we call a street smart as well. So books they have learned, inner kingdom of Antakarana is prioritized, but also they watch out for any type of obstacles which can derail their progress, such as vidwan. Uha apoha vichakshanaha. Uha for, then apoha against, vichakshanaha discrimination. The person is able to have for and against arguments for the satvastu, the real thing. And what is unreal, they will not waste their time and effort, they will drop it. And if there is an argument with a perverted intellect, they will quietly accept their defeat and move out away from that person, realizing it's not worth spending energy over there. Such a wise person over here, adhikari atma vidyayam, he is a fit student for atma vidya. Atma vidyayam adhikari, such a person is a student fit for the study of Shastra, is what is very beautifully indicated over here by Shankaracharya ji. Continuing, Vivekino viraktasya shamadhi gunashalinaha mumuksho reva hi brahma jignasa yogyata mata. So over here the qualifications of the student are now talked about. So Vivekinaha, who is this student of Brahma Vidya? Fourfold qualifications are given: Vivek, Vairagya, Shamadhi, Shat Sampatti and Mumukshutvam. These four very famous qualifications of student are now enumerated over here. So Vivekinaha, the person who has a man of discrimination. Viraktasya, the one who is endowed with the quality of detachment, Vairagya. Shamadhi gunashalinaha, Shama, Adi, etc. Gunashalinaha, who is endowed with these gunas. Mumukshoho, the person is a mumukshu, has an intense desire for liberation. Mumukshu, a person. And so such a person, Brahma jignasa yogyata mata. According, Shankaracharya ji says, according to my understanding, my belief, mata, may according to my understanding, Brahma jignasa yogyata, this is the qualification for desire to study Brahman, desire to learn about Brahman, Atma Vidya. So these are the qualifications. I'm not going into qualification because these qualifications now will be all described from shloka number 18 to 30, the fourfold qualifications. Sadhanan yatra chatvari kathitani manishibhihi yeshu satvena sannishta yadabhavena siddhyati. So over here very beautiful qualifications are now talked about. Manishibihi, by great sages it has been declared, kathitani, they have, these great Manishibihi, kathitani, they have declared, they have prescribed, sadhanani. Sadhanani means atra chatvari, here these four means to the attainment of a clear understanding of Brahman is talked about. Yeshu satsu eva sannishtha, yeshu satsu eva, only in the presence of these divine qualities, sannishtha, the proper attainment of the goal is reached. Yad abhave, but in the absence of these, na siddhyati, one will not be able to reach the siddhi. What is the siddhi? Brahma siddhi, the siddhi of the realization of Brahman. That is what is talked about over here. So if we want to attain Brahman, then these qualifications are very important. Adau nitya vastu viveka pariganyate iha mutra phala bhoga viragastadhantaram viragastadanantaram shamadhi shatka sampattihi mumukshuttvamatim sfutam. Over here, Adau, in the beginning, Nitya Anitya Vastu Viveka Kramena Pariganyate. See, in the beginning itself, meaning, when children are growing up, and we see from kindergarten itself, some kids are very quiet, alert, and they look who's playing with what, who's stealing, and who gets upset if they lose their toy or something. Very, very observant. And some children from childhood, they like peace. If somebody is crying because they lost a toy, they will give their toy away and say, you take this toy but you be quiet. From Montessori, from early childhood, qualities are seen. The lover of peace. The lover of peace doesn't just all of a sudden becomes peaceful. By observation and by understanding of one's own sacrifice, they realize that if I don't give my possession up, the other won't be quiet. I am talking of at a kindergarten level. That is an immense maturity. That is Adau. It is as though the person from a very young age has been wired for growth. That's why Shankaracharya ji specially uses the word ado in the beginning. Here comes much later, but the journey has to be proper. Or the parent also intervenes and says, please help them out. Whatever it may be, there's a lot of growth in the early years itself, which determines spiritual success. That ado nitya anitya vastu vivek. Slowly, when such a kindergartner grows up, they will be able to figure out in teenage years what is appropriate and what is inappropriate. That's very important for teenage years, because most of them fall for inappropriate things in life, and it's very difficult to bounce back up. The inner sense of moral compass, if it is taught from an early age, and thus we have rituals, the prenatal and then early childhood samskaras, which create an antakarana ready for Atma Vichar. Nobody wants to do Sandhya Vandanam, but if this habit is cultivated from a young age, Shankaracharya ji took the thread ceremony at the age of 4-5. Some of the children at the age of 4-5 cannot even repeat the mantras, can't read. But they are initiated and they've been taught daily this ritual that you have to do, and the father sits next to the child and says, I'm doing it, do this, do this. Pronunciation is not proper, it's okay. Eventually, in few months, maybe couple of years, the child learns. But the antakarana develops so beautifully that when the body matures and when desires act upon the inner instrument of antakarana, they are able to combat those desires by figuring out what is right and what is wrong. That is Adau Nitya Anitya Vastu Vivek. They will not be derailed. They have not yet approached a Guru of Brahma Vidya, but they are wired properly internally to stand up against their own inner mountain of desires, which has a perennial onslaught on the antakarana as desires to be fulfilled. This is Nitya Anistya Vastu Viveka Pariganyate. He Pariganyate, Gana, to count. These are how the qualities one by one are piled onto the antakarana as purity. A child on Friday evening says no to the friends going out for a movie, sacrifices the movie, finishes their homework, their work as a teenager, and after it is over, then on Saturday they may meet up with a friend for few hours, whatever it is. but the priorities, this is called pariganyate. They know what is important and that counts first. And this is how habits are piled. Good habits are piled. And in due time, when such a student moves out, they are very clear about their goals, their purpose. That is Ado Nitya Anitya Vastu Vivek. Iha Amutra Phala Bhoga Viragaha Tadantaram. Vairagya comes little later. Viveka Shakti first comes. So, the giving up of a little bit of joy for something greater, that sacrifice is how Vairagya starts. And then later on, when they are mature, well into their 20s, they understand the concept of Svarga and how Svarga Prapti is attained. That we have to do certain rituals for the attainment of Svarga. And he has seen the mother and the father engage in these rituals for the attainment of proper world after the human birth is over. He has seen the grandmother have certain fasts, certain festivals that they engage in, certain rituals. And when he asks, what are these for? He's been told that this is for the attainment of the higher world. And when a Viveki person grows up, realizes that what is important is proper knowledge over here. And if I attain Brahmagyan over here, that is far more superior than the attainment of the heavenly worlds. That is referred to as Iha over here, Amutra, the higher heavenly worlds, Phala Bhoga, the enjoyment of the fruits of this world and the higher world. Viragaha, gives up all enjoyments over here and the higher in the pursuit of Atmavastu, what is real. This is the invocation of absolute dharma in living. Joys are not to be acted upon. It is how much I can sacrifice for proper understanding. This is very, very important. And such a person will have Shama Adi Shatka Sampattihi. Such a person will have the Shama, etc. And we will see all of them. I am not going into explanation of them. They will be all defined. For Mumukshuhu, Mumukshutvam iti Sfutam. Very clearly, these are the qualities. So, in the beginning, the person has acquired good habits in living, understood the difference between real, unreal, cultivated good amount of vairagya, is firm in their understanding and is willing to give up the joys of the higher world, joys of the lower world, is endowed with Shamadhi, Shat Sampatti, and such a Mumukshu, and having Mumukshutvam, very clearly these are the qualifications. So now, what are all these qualities? These qualities, one by one, they will be enumerated. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithyeti Mithyeti Evam Mityevam Rupo Vinishchayah Soyam Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka Samudahritam. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya iti evam iti evam rupaha. That is what I'm missing. Rupaha. Evam rupaha vinishchayah saha ayam nitya anitya vastu vivekah samudahritam. So, what is Vivek? So, what is talked about over here is Brahma Satyam. Brahma alone is real. Jagat Mithya iti. And the world is illusion. Evam rupaha vinishchayah. Evam rupaha vinishchayah. Such is a firm conclusion of a person that Brahman alone is real, and other than Brahman, Jagat is Mithya. Soyam Nitya Nitya Vastu Vivek. That Saha Ayam, that alone is this Nitya Anitya Vastu Vivek. So what is Vivek? Vivek is Brahma Satyam and Jagat Mithya. Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya iti sfutam, very clearly this is samudahritam, this is considered to be Vivek. This is very, very important about the assertion of the truth and the negation of that which is not truth. Because how do we know what is truth? The truth is not object of our perception. It cannot be seen, smelled, tasted, touched, etc. Only Shabda Praman, only when we hear from our teacher that alone is. So, Shastra Praman and Guru Praman. This is the only Praman, Shabda Praman alone, and Guru only speaks what is in the Shastra. So I have heard from the teacher that Brahman is. Shastra says so, and the teacher in their anubhuti, in their abidance, it is clear that they are seeing something much greater than what the rest of us are seeing. This assertion, that's why the word form, rupaha, is used over here. Because we are looking for the form, but that is not available. I have to take somebody's words for it. And relying on the guidance of Guru and relying on the guidance of Shastra, the person makes a firm conclusion that Brahman alone is real and Jagat is Mithya. And the Shastra also uses a methodology of teaching known as neti neti, na iti na iti. Because the Shastra realizes that the student only has the inner equipment and the five senses to know. But the five senses and the mind intellect complex have only known to objectify knowledge. But this Brahman cannot be objectified. Brahman cannot be objectified. So, Brahma Satyam positively and negatively, na iti, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, the world. It's not that the world is not there. The world is not existent. The experience of the world is there at the level of the five senses and by the Antakarana. But a greater conviction that this is fleeting. And this Jagat Mithya, Shankaracharya ji will take good amount of shlokas in Vivekachudamani to internalize by our understanding that Brahman alone is real. This is an initial qualification of a student. The faith in the words of teacher and scripture dawns as a gut belief system without even coming to what is Brahman. But every cell of the body feels, yes, this is correct. What the teacher is saying is correct. What the Shastra is saying is correct. That going to the heavenly worlds for how long? Kshine punye martyaloka vishanti. The person thinks and verifies one's own belief system. This is how Vivek grows. And thus it is very beautifully over here, Saha ayam nitya nitya vastu Vivek. And that is how Vivek is understood and Vivek grows. Tadvairagyam jihasaya darshana shravanadibihi dehadi brahma pariyante yanitye bhoga vastuni. So, deha adi, from the body, etc., Brahma Paryantam, up to Brahmaji, he anitye, it is all unreal. And how is it unreal? Bhoga vastuni, because it can be experienced. And if an experience is there, the experience is objectified. The experience arrives, the experience remains, and the experience disappears. So, these are all bhoga vastuni, these are objects. This is how, this little boy Nachiketa rejects everything that Yama Dharmaraj gives. It is his conviction that everything is fleeting, everything is momentary. So, darshana shravanadibihi, what is seen, what is heard, jihasa, a desire to give up everything. Tad vairagyam, that alone is vairagya. Vairagya is what? Vairagya is starting from this body all the way up to Brahmaji and all the lokas Brahmaji has created. Everything is a place of experience. An experience has an arrival date, a delta t, some amount of time it remains, and then it disappears. This little boy did so many japa for Narayan Bhagavan to arrive because he wanted to sit in the lap of his father. Narad Muni comes and says, why do you want to sit in the lap of your father? You can sit in the lap of the Lord. He said, yes. Gives Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, and this boy sincerely surrenders to Bhagavan. Bhagavan arrives. Bhagavan creates the whole loka for him. Dhruva Loka it is called. And he realizes upon going to Dhruva Loka that he may give me for a long time to stay in this Dhruva Loka. But even this Dhruva Loka one day has to come to an end. It is not permanent. We may attain lokas, but if it is a loka, meaning lokyate gamyate anena, there where an experience can be apprehended by going over there. Gamyate, going. And experiencing some experience over there, but it is still object of my perception. It is not permanent. That is dehadi brahma paryantam hi anitya iti. It is all unreal. It is all ephemeral. It is just anitya. It is transient. Bhogavastuni, all objects of experience, they are just fleeting. Darshana shravanadibihi, what is seen, hearing, etc., all of them. Jihasa, that desire. Tad vairagyam, that alone is vairagya, is what is declared over here. Then we will, from here we will continue tomorrow. Tomorrow is also Shankara Jayanti, so we will see, we'll continue this tomorrow. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukha bhag bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.